Imagine stepping outside and feeling raindrops that sting your skin. The air smells sharp like burnt matches. Trees around you look sick. Their leaves are brittle, their bark is peeling. Cars are corroding. Their paint stripped away like they've been left out for years. Now imagine that this isn't a one-time freak storm. It's every time it rains. This is the terrifying world we would face if acid rain became the new normal. And the worst part? We could already be on that path. Acid rain doesn't mean rain that can melt your skin instantly, but it does mean rainfall that's mixed with dangerous pollutants like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides. These gases are released into the air when fossil fuels are burned. From coal plants, car engines, and factories. They mix with water vapor in the sky and fall back to the ground as highly acidic rain. Right now, most countries have pollution laws in place to limit how much of this stuff gets released, but if those laws were removed, ignored, or just couldn't keep up anymore, acid rain wouldn't be rare, it would be constant. This wouldn't happen all at once. It would start slowly, probably in areas already dealing with heavy pollution. Think major cities like New Delhi, Beijing, or even Los Angeles. At first, people would notice changes in the environment. Trees would begin to die, not just from the rain itself, but from soil losing its nutrients. Forests would thin out. Rivers and lakes would become toxic to fish and wildlife. Entire ecosystems would collapse. Within just a few years, places that were once green and alive would start to look gray and lifeless. Buildings would take a hit next. Acid rain eats away at stone, brick, and metal. Famous landmarks would begin to erode. Statues, bridges, and old buildings would crumble faster than anyone could repair them. Skyscrapers would rust and corrode. Infrastructure would start to break down in cities worldwide. What used to take decades of natural weathering could happen in just a few years, and people wouldn't be spared. While acid rain doesn't directly kill you when it falls, long-term exposure to the polluted air that causes it is deadly. Respiratory problems would skyrocket. Children and the elderly would be the first to suffer. Asthma, bronchitis, and lung disease would become far more common. Rainwater would no longer be safe to collect. Crops would fail, not just from toxic rain, but from poisoned soil. Food shortages would begin. This isn't a slow burn disaster. If acid rain became the new normal, it could flip the way we live upside down in just a few years. And once it begins, stopping it becomes harder and harder. In the next part, we'll look at how this new world begins to spread from cities to countryside, from farms to forests, and how different places across the planet would start to fall one by one. As acid rain becomes a regular part of life, the damage doesn't just stay in the cities where it started. It spreads outward, pushed by wind patterns and storm systems that carry pollution across borders and oceans. Within a few short years, this becomes a global disaster. Countries that thought they were safe, places with less industry or more environmental protections, start seeing the same signs. Trees that once formed dense green forests begin losing their leaves and bark. Lakes once teeming with fish become acidic pools. Mountain ranges, once home to diverse wildlife, turn into silent, barren landscapes. Agriculture is one of the first major systems to start falling apart. Acid rain changes the chemical makeup of soil. It strips away nutrients like calcium and magnesium, which crops need to grow. Even if farmers try to fertilize their land, the acidic rainfall keeps undoing their efforts. Wheat, rice, corn, and vegetables all begin to wither faster than they can be harvested. Livestock suffer too, drinking contaminated water and eating toxic grass. Within just 5 to 10 years, entire farming regions collapse. As rural areas begin to suffer, people flood into cities, hoping to escape the failing countryside. But cities aren't holding up either. Roads, power lines, water pipes, all of it is being worn down by constant exposure to corrosive rain. Concrete crumbles, metal rusts, blackouts become common, and clean water becomes harder to find. And because more people are now packed into these already failing cities, disease starts spreading fast. Polluted air weakens lungs. Contaminated water spreads illness, hospitals are overwhelmed. The systems people rely on to stay alive are collapsing. Countries start to panic. Governments try to act, but it's already too late to undo most of the damage. Emergency zones are set up, and mass evacuations are ordered in some regions, but there's nowhere left untouched. Remote islands, mountain villages, even deserts begin showing signs of acidic damage. Rainfall, once a symbol of life, now brings destruction. And it keeps falling, storm after storm, year after year. Cultural heritage is also under threat. Centuries-old temples, churches, and monuments are fading away. Famous sculptures dissolve in the rain, their fine details eaten away in months instead of centuries. Museums struggle to protect artifacts from the humid, acidic air. Generations of history are being erased right alongside forests and farmland. In this new world, the damage isn't just visible, it's deeply personal. The places people grew up in, the land they once depended on, the skies they once watched for hope, it's all turning against them. In the next part, we'll explore what life would look like across the globe as acid rain becomes a permanent part of the environment, and how different regions respond to the crisis in their own desperate ways. As acid rain continues to dominate the skies year after year, the toll on the environment and human life grows even worse. Rivers and lakes, once sources of fresh water and food, become too acidic to support most fish and aquatic plants. Species start to disappear rapidly. Fish die-offs trigger a collapse in the food chain, affecting birds and mammals that depend on them. Wetlands, which act as natural filters and flood protectors, shrink and die off, leaving communities more vulnerable to flooding and drought. The forests, which once helped clean the air and regulate climate, weaken and vanish. Acid rain strips away the protective layers on leaves and needles, making trees vulnerable to disease, pests, and harsh weather. Entire ecosystems collapse as animals lose their homes and food sources. This rapid loss of biodiversity makes the planet less resilient to other stresses like climate change or new diseases. People's health also faces a steady decline. Constant exposure to polluted air and acid rain weakens immune systems and inflames respiratory systems. Cases of asthma, bronchitis, and other lung diseases soar. Drinking water contaminated by acid runoff leads to kidney and liver problems. Children and the elderly become especially vulnerable. Hospitals struggle to keep up with the rising wave of illness, while clean water and safe food become more scarce. Governments try different approaches to manage the crisis. Some build massive water treatment plants to clean the increasingly toxic water supplies. Others try to capture emissions more aggressively, but the damage already done means the environment can't bounce back quickly. The chemical changes in soil and water are long-lasting. Years of acid rain mean nutrients that plants and animals rely on are permanently washed away. Cities attempt to adapt too. They cover exposed surfaces with special coatings and plant acid-resistant greenery in urban parks. But these solutions are expensive and don't work everywhere. The economic strain grows as crops fail, infrastructure crumbles, and healthcare costs rise. Countries heavily dependent on farming and natural resources suffer the worst, while richer nations spend billions trying to hold the damage at bay. By this point, acid rain is no longer a rare or seasonal event, it's a harsh and constant reality for billions of people worldwide. The way humans live, work, and interact with the planet has changed forever. The full scale of the disaster is clear. The environment is collapsing and humanity is scrambling to survive in a world where the sky itself is a threat. In the final part, we will explore the long-term consequences and the potential paths forward, if there is any hope left to reverse or survive this devastating new normal. As acid rain becomes the new normal, the long-term effects reach far beyond what anyone could have imagined. Entire regions become nearly unlivable as soil turns toxic and crops fail year after year. Without healthy plants to anchor the ground, erosion accelerates, causing landslides and the loss of fertile land. Food shortages become widespread, leading to massive hunger and malnutrition. People are forced to leave their homes in search of safer places, triggering waves of migration and conflict over dwindling resources. The damage to infrastructure grows worse too. Bridges, roads, and buildings corrode rapidly under constant exposure to acidic water. Water pipes and electrical systems break down, leaving millions without clean water or power. Cities struggle to maintain basic services, and governments face the enormous challenge of rebuilding while still fighting the environmental crisis. These failures add to the daily hardship for people trying to survive in an increasingly hostile world. Human health crises worsen as toxic water and polluted air cause new diseases to spread. Hospitals are overwhelmed, and many places lose access to medicine and doctors. The stress on mental health also rises as communities face uncertainty, loss, and fear. Children grow up in a world where outdoor play is limited and clean water is a luxury. Despite the severity of the disaster, some efforts at recovery emerge. Scientists develop new technologies to neutralize acidic water and restore damaged soils, but these solutions require massive resources and time. International cooperation becomes crucial, as no single country can handle the crisis alone. Still, the scale of destruction makes full recovery seem almost impossible. The damage done over decades means the environment may never fully return to how it was. In this harsh new reality, humanity is forced to rethink how it interacts with the planet. Sustainable living and aggressive pollution control become more than just ideals. They are essential for survival. But the question remains, can we learn from this disaster before it is too late? The possibility that acid rain becomes the new normal serves as a powerful warning. It reminds us how fragile our planet is and how quickly human actions can tip the balance. The future depends on what choices we make today, whether we take care of the earth or watch it slip away into a toxic, lifeless world.